Hello, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee and welcome to this crafting tutorial. This is the lovely little project we're making today. As you can see, it's this little calendar and it will sit up on your desk like that, and it's got space here for a little 3 by 3 inch pack of post-it notes and a little pencil, and at the front here you've got this little calendar. Isn't that cute? So let's make another one. This one is Daffodil Delight, and this paper is the Christmas tags and more, which is now retired, but we're going to be using a slightly different way this time, and we're going to be using Petal Pink. And I've got a piece here that measures 3.5 inches by 10.5 inches, and we're going to do some scoring to start off. And just let me get my notes up. There we go. And you can use our scoring tool. Now remember, your stylus has a thick end and a fat end, so we're going to use the thinner end because it is cardstock. And we want to score on the long end, so like this. Now I have made a bit of a boo-boo here, I don't know if you can see, but this will all be covered up, so it just shows you that you can find ways to cover up your mistakes. And we're going to score at 4 inches, 8 inches, 9 inches and 10 inches. Okay, so set that aside. And then I've got another piece here of Petal Pink, and this is going to measure 7 by 4 and 5/8, but don't worry, all of these measurements will be on the blog post, and you can find the link to that in the description box below. So now on this longer side here, we're going to score at 4 and 4.5. And then on the short side, we're going to score at 1/2 inch from either side. So that's 1/2 inch, and then 1/2 inch again. Just like that. Alright. So that's all of our scoring done. So let's get rid of the score tool. And now we're just going to fold on our score line. So let's bring in our bone folder. One of the most underrated tools in the craft room, but so important. So let's get a nice firm crisp fold and use that bone folder to help us out. And then let's do this one here. Okay, and this is going to fit together just like that. Okay, so this middle score lines, you've got this one, and then you've got a set of 3 here. 1, 2, 3. This middle one is going to be a valley. So you've got mountain, mountain, valley, mountain. Okay. Give that a good press down, and then we're just going to put this across the side. I'm going to put some glue here. Well, actually, I think I'm going to use, for ease, I'm going to use some tear and tape, because it's what I've got to hand. And all glue is pressure adhesive, so if you give that a good burnish, the backings are going to come off more easily. There we go, just like that. And then I'm just going to fold this over and line these 2 pieces up, just making sure it's all nice and straight. And if you don't push down straight away hard, you can pull it back up very easily if you feel you've got it wrong. But there we go. And give that another little burnish. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. So let's set that aside and work on our other piece here. So we're going to do a little bit of cutting here. So I'm going to take my scissors, and you can see here you've got a long sort of rectangle to your right, a shorter one to your left, and then this tiny little strip in the middle. So along the first score line here, you're just going to cut up, and the second one to the first score line. So you're just releasing this little flappy bit there. Do you see? Okay, turn it around and do exactly the same on the other side. So you just released those 2 flappy bits. Now I'm going to take these 2 pieces, and you can either, and I'm going to fold my piece round like that. So I want to put glue on these two tiny pieces here. Just a tiny amount of glue, you don't need a lot, just a little bit. And I'm just going to fold these in. It doesn't matter which way you fold them in, as long as you fold them in to create that squared off perpendicular corner. So it's a nice squared off corner. Everything is nice and as straight as you can get it. That. And this is going to be my front here. So then I want this to fold around to my back. So I'm going to put glue on the inside here of these two longer flaps. And then it's going to fold around just like this. And just make sure everything is straight again. It will take some time to get it straight before you press it down to get that glue to hold. Okay, now I don't like these two bits, these two wings here, so I'm going to cut them off. You could have done this beforehand, it might be easier, but I tend to find this way works for me better, because this way I know that I am getting it just in the right place. But you do what works best for you. So I'm just going to cut there. So now I've got that piece off, and do the same on the other side. I'm just going to cut it along there, and then again, didn't get that very straight, so okay, and I can see here I didn't get it totally straight, so I'm going to go in with my smaller scissors, because that one's got too long a thingy-majiggy. Technical term that is, thingy-majiggy. So I'm just going to go in with a smaller one here. There we go. And trim that bit out there. As I said, you could do that before you put it together, but I found when I did that, I couldn't get things nice and flush, and I wanted them nice and flush. Right, so that's what we've got so far. So now I'm going to put down my designer series paper now. You can, if you want to, this is going to stick to the front here, you can, if you want to, what was I going to say, around the corners, and I might do that, but first put down my first piece of paper, which is here. Now this is the Brushed with Love, I think, designer series paper, but everything will be, all the supply list will be linked on that blog post, as well as in the description box below, so do check that out. So we're going to put the first piece down here on the front. And then I think I'm going to stick this down now to the base. So you want glue on the back, a good amount, because it's always going to hold it to the base. So I'm putting a goodly amount there. Right. And then I'm going to bring this base in, and I'm just going to line everything up so it's nicely lined up. And of course not going to stick anything down until I'm happy with the way it looks. Now I'm going to give it a good burnish. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. Can round the corners though, you need a good corner rounder for this, because you are cutting through a few pieces of cardstock. Not always the easiest, so I'm going to put it into here and give it a really good press down. And even then, sometimes, as you can see, it doesn't want to work so well. So back in again and out again, and there we go. I'm going to take my scissors to it. This is why I didn't always round the corners, because I found it difficult to cut through all of this paper. And if I rounded them separately at different points, I found somehow it just couldn't get them lined up properly. Don't ask me why. Okay, so we've rounded, whoops, everything's cattywampus. I've rounded those corners, so now I need to do the same for the designer series paper. This is much easier because it is just paper. So now I can stick this down. And I'm just going to feed that in there and get everything as straight as I can. That will do. So you can see how it's starting to look. Let's move this out of the way. So I've got these little tear-off calendars online. If you just type in mini tear-off calendars or something, you can find them in a whole host of different places. And then I'm going to stick that to the front. And then I'm just going to go in again with the bone folder to really have that in place. And then I've got my post-it note, and then I've got my mini pencil. These are just like golf pencils. If you remember the days when you used to go to the Argos shop, and you used to have to write down your list before you went to the checkout. Those little pencils, that's what we're using. So there we go, there's one. And okay, so for some reason I didn't press the record button. I'm very sorry about that, but it's really easy to see what I did. I rounded the corners on the designer series paper. I stuck it out at the back here. Took these little tear-off calendars. Now these you can find online. If you just type in mini tear-off calendar on the internet, there's a whole host of places that do them. And I just stuck it down to the front here with some Tombow. And then you've got your little post-it notes. And you've got your little pencil here. This is just a half pencil, like a golf pencil. If you remember those days when you went to Argos and you had to write down your list of stuff before you took it to the checkout. I mean, I'm really going back in the day here. Those little pencils, that's exactly the same as what we're using there. So there you've got two mini desktop calendars. So I hope you've enjoyed this this paper crafting tutorial showing you how to make these little desktop calendars. If you did, I'd be grateful if you could give this video a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you want more information, all the links are in the description box below. So thank you again, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye.